Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
My brothers, my sisters, this is Duke Loves Rasslin, and I want you to stop what you're doing and head over to rivercitywrestlingcon.com. Use the promo code Top Shelf. That's all one word there, Top Shelf. Why? I just saved you 10% on weekend passes to see some of your favorite stars from yesterday, today, and tomorrow, including...
Hey, what's everybody doing? This is Ken Shamrock. Just wanted to give everybody a heads up. I will be at the River City WrestleCon in Jacksonville, Florida on June 11th. So if you get a chance, man, come on and check it out. See you there.
Head over to rivercitywrestlingcon.com. Use the promo code Top Shelf, and we'll see you Saturday, June 10th and Sunday, June 11th. That's right.
Locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, I laid down the gauntlet. Okay, the biggest challenge in the history of Duke Loves Rasslin. I challenge all of you out there to step up to the plate, to find someone, anyone in the entire known universe to come on this show and man, woman, non-binary up and tell the Duke to his ears that he's wrong about the most obvious thing in the history of life that's happening today. Bianca Belair is a heel. Okay, she's a heel. She's been a heel. She's not a babyface. It doesn't matter what you think you know. You're wrong because you said so. So, we have a returning guest, one of the biggest baby faces in the history of Duke Loves Rasslin, legitimately. Someone that you all respect and appreciate, and I do as well. And I got to tell you, I'm hoping that he's on this show to agree with me as opposed to tell me I'm wrong, because I'm going to tell you right now, if this guy doesn't have some facts and figures or whatever to back up what he thinks he knows, I am no longer going to call him Rob the Genius. I will refer to him as Bob the Genius. And the difference between Rob and Bob is Rob is really, really cool and hip and with it. And Bob is just plain old Bob. You know what I'm saying, folks? So it's like drinking still water versus drinking water with bubbles. There's just a big difference. There's a big difference. You need a little pizzazz, a little excitement. That's what Rob the Genius is. Bob the Genius is just ho-hum, ham and egger, same old guy. So we're going to find out who this man is going forward. Without further ado, welcome back to Duke Loves Rasslin, Rob the Genius. You're starting off as Rob. Don't end with Bob now, okay?
Okay, well, I got a little bad news for you. Well, first of all, people call my dad Bob, so you're never going to insult me by calling me Bob.
Well, you're ruining my life, Ari. You've already taken away the biggest weapon I thought I had. Look at that. You've already disarmed me. We haven't even gotten going here. So I apologize. Now, is it Bob the Genius? Is that your dad, or is it just Bob?
No, he was just Bob. He never professed to be any type of genius. Either.
All right. Well, listen.
Joke or as serious, but
Uncle Bob, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your son here, who is going to have to go by Bob the Genius if he doesn't do the right thing. It's like these Celtics fans who keep trying to claim that they're going to beat the Heat, and we all saw what happened already to start off this series here. My Miami Heat putting a hurting on the mean green Celtics. All right. So,
listen. If my dad doesn't like something you said, you might get like a thunderbolt through the ceiling from above. Okay, because he's no longer with us here on Earth.
But he's listening. He's definitely listening.
Yeah, and so if you say something he don't like, you might you you might get a little something from the sky. later. Okay.
And unlike Ric Flair, I don't think I could survive that. So I better watch myself here. See, you done painted me in a corner already. Oh boy. Listen, man. I need to. Well, first of all, happy birthday! I know your
Thank
birthday
you.
just was recently here, and
Thank
you're
you.
a year older. Hopefully, a year wiser. But I got to be honest with you. I'm very disappointed in the fact that a sharp, well-respected guy who is with it from a general standpoint, you know what's up, right? I'm very disappointed in the fact that you, at least before, have disagreed with the fact that Bianca Belair is a heel, because she's a heel. It's a fact. There's no question about that. So
No question.
I need you to help me out here and just admit that you've been wrong previously and detail for everybody how she's a heel, because I know that's why you came on, right?
Okay. Well, does she cheat to win matches?
Not every heel. Brock Lesnar doesn't cheat to win matches.
I asked you a yes or no question. I asked you a yes or no question. Does she cheat to win matches?
Yes.
Oh, really? Now?
Yes.
How?
Because she uses a foreign object known as a hair whip. It's not her real hair. She didn't grow that hair.
That's what you're saying now? Because it's a weave? Like it's hers. She got the receipt. Okay.
Sir. It is a foreign object that she's using as
You gotta be kidding me.
Okay, in matches, which injures her opponents and makes it easier for her to be able to ultimately win the match. So yes, she cheats to win. Yes. See that? I got you now. I got you.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Okay.
What about the theme music, huh? Did you ever think about that?
Yeah, I did. And that's a 6-year-old song that they made back when she was in NXT when they absolutely did not know what to make of her creatively. So
I never needed you at all. Is that what babyfaces say?
If you wrote the song 6 years ago and they didn't change it.
So now you're going to make the excuse that they didn't change the song, right? You're going to blame.
No. I got something for that because I was thinking about this earlier. Okay, so when Becky Lynch was working heel, they didn't change her theme music. She had the same kind of sing-along type of music that she's always had. And her theme music is not some ominous sounding type of thing that you would associate with somebody being a villain. And she kept the same sing-along, happy, sing-songy theme music when she was working heel. But she was very much a heel. So the theme music does not the theme music does not decide whether or not you are a heel. It does not. No.
What about the fact that Bianca calls herself the greatest, the fastest, the strongest? Huh? Bragging about all of her accolades constantly. You're telling me that those are babyface qualities to brag all over yourself like that?
Did you not? Well, if you're like me, you grew up with this guy saying, what are you going to do when the 24-inch pythons run all over you? And the greatest force in the world is Hulkamania, and he was babyface. Okay.
Did he not tell people to say their prayers and eat their vitamins? I mean, come on, Rob. Don't try to listen.
Well, yes, he did.
Come on now. Okay. Did Bianca Belair ever say that? No.
Do you see her interact with children?
We're talking about promos now. Don't talk about interacting with children. We're talking about promos now.
Okay, well, we're talking about the presentation of the person as a character. She came to the ring at WrestleMania accompanied by a group of dancing children from Compton. Okay.
Okay, and Bray Wyatt had a bunch of singing children from parts unknown at a pay-per-view before. What's your point? And he was a heel.
Oh, really? Okay, so wait a minute now. So the difference is, okay, so Bray Wyatt did all types of weird, spooky things, and Bianca Belair has not. Again, she does not cheat to win using your hair. But first of all, she didn't use a braid to tie somebody's leg up to hold them down for the pin. She didn't use a braid to choke anybody out. Okay. Oh yes, she has used her hair as a whip. Okay, and yes, that has happened.
So
okay.
whips are are legal in wrestling matches now. I'm not talking about an Irish whip either. I'm talking about
It's
using
her hair.
It is not her hair. We've already established that.
It is attached to her head, is it not?
What does that even mean?
It's attached to her head, is it not?
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. She doesn't bring it into the ring in a bag and attach it to her head halfway through the match. Okay. If she was doing that, that would be different. Okay. If Montez was carrying her braid down to the ring with her, and then halfway through the match he attaches it to her head, and then she used it, then yes, it's a foreign object. Okay. But she comes down to the ring, the braid is attached to her head. Okay. So no, it is not a foreign object.
I mean, I think I need to get you the rule book because clearly you don't know what a foreign object is.
Has anyone been okay? Okay, people have used their ring jacket, and choked somebody. Okay, not gotten disqualified. Okay, so stop it. Okay, no, the hair is attached to her head. Okay, if it was not attached to her again, if it was not attached to her head, if she was carrying it to the ring separately and then attaching it to her head during the match and then using it, yes, that would be a foreign object. But that is not what's going on here. It is attached to her head. It is her hair.
How do you explain the fact that the fans are booing her more and more? Okay, this is a phenomenon that's been going on
and see, now I think
since she won the belt back.
You're turning into one of those crowd noise truthers now.
Okay, she's been getting more and more boos, less and less cheers. How do you explain that?
Well, again, so now we have a different interpretation of what we're hearing. I mean, okay, you say, I'm sure, of course, there are some people in the audience booing because there are people in the audience who boo everybody. Everybody gets booed by somebody in the audience. Okay, are there maybe less reactions than there were a year ago? Sure. She's been doing this for over a year now. And quite frankly, creatively, they've had her kind of running on the hamster wheel since she won the title back. It's very redundant what they do with her creatively. So yes, after a year of creatively, again, I'm emphasizing creatively because I'm trying to make it clear that I'm not, denigrating her performance, but creatively, she has been given pretty much the same stuff to do for almost a good solid year now. So yes, people have been there. They have seen that, and they have And other than now look, there's a section of the fan base that, and I'll be very blunt, African Americans who they'll are not going to sour on her. Okay, and because there's so many years of getting nothing like this presented for us that, we did, quite frankly, if it's getting if they're booking the same type of stuff, a lot of us don't care. Okay. Cause the debt is still being paid, so to speak. Okay. So, and a lot of us are just, love her to death and just are happy to see her every time she comes out there, and not just us. Okay. But if there are people outside of that group who, aren't quite as enthusiastic as they were a year ago, well, it's understandable because they've been having her do a lot of the same stuff. So, do I think people are turning on her? No. The one time where she got booed, like really booed, was in Puerto Rico against EO a couple of weeks ago. All right, and so far that has proven to be an outlier. Okay, she's not getting booed hard like that anywhere else. Okay, so yeah, the cheering may not be as loud, it may not go on as long right now, but okay, you're talking as if she's getting the John Cena or Roman Reigns 2015 treatment here, and nothing like that is happening.
I just wonder, Rob. I wonder if you're watching the same product, because it's pretty clear that your personal desire to protect Bianca is clouding your good judgment. And normally you're spot on, but you're completely wrong here. She's a heel, and listen, I like Bianca. I'm a big fan of hers, but the gimmick is it doesn't make sense. Whatever the gimmick is, she's not a babyface. She's somebody who should be going in there, dominating her opponents. She could still cut the same promo, come out to the same music, but that's a heel. And by being a heel, she'll eventually become the biggest babyface in the industry. But because she has to pretend to be this goody two-shoes, that's the reason why the fans are throwing up on it. It's just not working, man. It's not working at all.
Okay, and not working. Not working. Okay, when you say not working, you know me. If I say something is not working, I have quarter-hour ratings and video traffic numbers to back up what I'm saying. All right. Because I got yelled at once on a podcast for saying that the whole thing with damage control wasn't working that well, and I had numbers to back it up, right? But for you to say something is not working, then okay, not working for you, maybe. But if you're going to say it's not working, you're going to need to provide some proof of that there, buddy.
Do you want me to play back the reaction that she got going up against Ito Shirai in Mexico?
I said that wasn't no. I said that wasn't. No, I need you to play a reaction for me that she's gotten on Monday Night Raw. Play a reaction.
It's the same reaction she's been getting for a year now. She gets a big pop for a few seconds, and then it dies quickly, and then you start to hear boos.
You start to, really?
That's it. That's exactly what happens every single time.
You start to hear boos.
You start to hear boos. Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure I've heard some, plenty of EST chants during her matches.
Got it. But you don't see any mouths moving, though. You notice that, Rob? Do you ever notice that, Bob?
You saying they're using the heat machine?
Bob the Genius. Do you ever notice that you don't see mouths moving?
Are you saying that they're using the heat machine?
I'm saying that they're using something.
For those of y'all who don't, for the heat machine is what it's a term that was used to describe when they use dubbed in cheers and boos. All right, because back during the '80s when all the programming was taped, there were times where it was very egregious. You could hear you would hear noise, and you would see, and then they'd go to a crowd shot, and there'd be people like literally just sitting there. And and now they've gotten better about they've gotten better about it, but sometimes they still slip up, and you can and you hear the noise, and you see people not moving in the crowd sometimes. But are you saying that they're using the heat machine?
I'm saying that I don't know what machine they're using. I don't want to make a fact-based statement and then get called out like Brian Alvarez gets called out by CM Punk, so I'm going to be careful there. But I will say that clearly she's not getting the cheers that the audio would suggest at first, but they die down so quickly because the boos outweigh the cheers. Okay,
well, I would say the crowds, especially on Monday nights, have been notoriously terrible for some time now.
Okay, we got to talk about this too. If I purchase a ticket to a show, okay, I spend, whatever I spend on the ticket, $50, $60, $80, $100 plus. Mm-hmm. Then I got to get to the show, got to spend money on transportation, gas, parking, or public transportation. I got to go through crowds. I got to go through a whole lot of foolishness just to get to my seat to watch the show. You expect me to then do something other than watch the show live? What is a bad crowd, Rob?
Okay, well, let me just say this. Okay. It doesn't really matter to me because, look, I'm the same way, right? I mean, there are a few times during a show where I may really get up and make some noise. I'm not going to do it for 2 hours or 3 hours. I don't begrudge anybody. In the big picture, do I think it's that big of a deal? No, because they came to the show, didn't they? Right? But especially in the in the internet world, we live in this internet world where people are constantly trying to tell everyone who is and is not over, and people try to, and one of the attempts to do that is by saying so and so got a big pop, so and so did not. So if I mean, look, well, a person who comes to the show and doesn't get out of their seat, but who buys all of their favorite wrestlers' merchandise, that means a lot more than somebody who comes and makes a bunch of noise and then, never buys anything, right? But
I mean, listen, I got you jammed up because you're starting to realize that I'm right, and I understand.
No. See, unlike some people, I think my answer through before I don't just blurt stuff out.
Folks, I got him jammed up.
No,
got him on the ropes.
Okay. When you say booed, when you say somebody's getting booed, I think of John Cena. I think of Roman Reigns in 2015. All right. I don't think of somebody who maybe the cheering isn't as loud as it used to be.
She's getting go away heat.
From who?
From everybody who they're not upset with Bianca. And listen, I know Bianca's listening to this, and shout out to her. Appreciate you listening. Look, I don't have a problem with you. I think you're a great talent. I'm a supporter. I'm a fan. I just don't like the gimmick. I don't like what they've saddled you with. They set you up to fail.
Okay,
so I'm gonna call it out.
So that's what. So see, and now you told on yourself. You told on yourself. You said you don't like the gimmick. So keyword is you don't like, and so like.
Yeah, but I represent the real fans, Rob.
Oh, you do now. Okay. So you sound like a lot of people on Twitter who think that the viewpoint of them and their circle represents, anywhere from the 6 million or so people who sample some portion of WWE programming every week.
And it, for anybody out there, including you, CM Punk, touching grass doesn't mean anything. I touch grass all the time. What is that supposed to mean? What is touching grass going to do? You're not going to have an opinion on something because you touch grass? Is that what it is? I'm going to suddenly agree with CM Punk or whoever because I touch grass? I still don't agree with Rob the Genius that I touch grass all the damn time.
Well,
what is that?
You probably touched them before we started the show here today, didn't you?
Hey, take it easy. What kind of grass you talking about here? Take it easy.
No, man. Okay, look, I have not. I'll be first. Look, I do not go back and listen to the audio of every episode of television they do. I will concede that the cheering does not last as long as it used to, and is not as loud as it used to be. I will concede that point, even having not listened and gone back and listened to the audio on all these things. I will still concede that point. Simply because now she's been on the main roster for 3 years, and she is they have been having her do very much the same kind of stuff for almost the entire time she's been there. And, she's been the women's champion for over a year now. So yes, there is now, she's not new anymore. Right. And so she's not new anymore, and they haven't hit on some new thing with her, new angle, new storyline or something that would kind of reignite the louder, enthusiasm. So, yes, it's not as loud, and no, it doesn't last as long. I will concede both of those points. But when you say being booed, again, when you tell me she's being booed, then I take that as, as if what happened in Puerto Rico is happening every night, and that is not happening by any stretch of the imagination. And also, it's not just TV we're talking about here. There have been plenty of reports from people at house shows that, said just the opposite. And I go to house shows, and, it's where I saw first and foremost is how much the rhetoric about Roman Reigns was just not true. Because I've been to plenty of house shows where Roman Reigns was cheered louder and longer than everyone else in the building, even when supposedly everybody hated him. So those accounts need to be, listened to. People who've actually been to see her in person. The TV, a lot of times, look, the TV audience, the people who come, particularly on Monday nights, the people who come to Raw on Monday nights are absolutely not representative of the fan base as a whole. So, and the crowds on Monday nights, like I said, there've been a lot of times where they've been notoriously bad for a lot of people. And now, I mean, look, if you have sing along theme music, then like Cody and like Seth Rollins, then yeah, they sing along with that, or like Sami Zayn, and and Becky Lynch also. But yeah, they'll. But if not, yeah, they especially on Monday night, they haven't been good for a lot of people and in a lot of stretches. And now, in some cases, is that indicative of something for some people? Sure, but it's not indicative of something for everyone there. And again, trust me, I can point you to evidence as to whose lack of reaction there's actually some substance to the crowd being quiet for them, and for who it's just the crowd not being very good.
Here we go again with the crowd not being very good, as if the crowd is supposed to.
Oh, not very loud. I'm sorry, not very loud. Not okay.
But as if the crowd who paid their hard-earned money are supposed to entertain you. And I mean, the wrestlers were there to do that.
Look, I'm old enough to remember crowds making noise for arm drags and hip tosses. Okay, and where you didn't have to do a 360 spin through a table, right, to get a reaction. I'm old enough to remember those days. So, but okay, I will refrain from saying that they're bad because they're quiet. But
it's a not well thought out take from people who want to find someone other than the wrestlers to blame. But here's the reality of the situation. If I pay my money to go to any event, I don't have to entertain the people sitting their asses at home watching. You know what I'm saying? You should have been here if you wanted noise. I'm not here to make noise. I'm here to watch a show. What's wrong with that?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that, again, this is an internet argument. It's an IWC argument where people are reaching and searching and grasping for any justification for their opinion that this person is or is not over.
That's right. Like Bianca Belair being a heel, which she is. So I'm glad you said that.
Oh, so you admit that you're reaching and grasping is what you're saying here.
But there's nothing to reach and grasp for. It's reach and grasp me. That's why I have to, sound the alarm. I have to tell everybody.
Well, clearly we don't. Clearly we're just not going to agree on this one. So,
folks, I have completely slayed the great.
You gotta be kidding me.
One that is known. He forever will be known as Bob the Genius from now on. I have
seriously. Okay,
it took me years, but I have finally defeated the Universal Champion.
No, you
the man
not,
formerly known as Rob the Genius.
No, you have not, sir. Just simply repeating something over and over doesn't make it correct. Okay. Again, listen, she does not cheat to win. Okay.
Except when she uses a foreign object in the middle of the match. Got it.
She uses the hair that is attached to her head.
The one that's not her hair. That didn't grow out of her head. Got it. See that, folks? These young folks these days, they think they know so much. That's why you gotta set them straight.
Okay. No. Again. Okay. The hair is attached to her head when she comes in the ring. All right.
Anyway, we're not going to agree. You've already you've lost one battle. Let's see if you can redeem.
Let me ask you this. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Do you think they should turn her heel?
Absolutely. They should have done it already.
For what?
Because she's a natural heel. She's, as she said, she's stronger or strongest, fastest, dare I say, the most beautiful est. Is that a word? She has everything that her competitors don't. And those are not babyface qualities. Those are qualities of somebody who you can never attain what they are. And people are envious of that. People don't like it when you rub that in their face. So people may pay money to watch you get upended. She could run through that division like a hot knife through butter. And you build up a baby face who is sympathetic enough that these women could actually, headline multiple pay-per-views, including WrestleMania, including Saudi Arabia, and make a whole bunch of money doing it.
Well,
Not rocket science.
I haven't. Well, see, because it's funny because just last year there was a similar argument being made that someone else was a natural heel, and that they should be booked that way, and they did finally start booking this woman that way, and everything went in the crapper.
Are you talking about Ronda Rousey?
Yes, I am.
Stop it right now. You're talking nonsense now.
No, I'm not. See, sir, see, I have proof. I have information, sir. Okay. I can point you to all types of indicators, all types of data that clearly show that when she is a babyface, when Ronda Rousey is booked as a babyface, when Ronda Rousey, when her music hits and she comes out there and she beats up the heels and she beats up the security guards, that brings TV ratings, it brings video traffic, and also when they upload matches of hers to YouTube, the matches where she wins get a whole lot more views than the matches where she doesn't. Okay, so you can listen to the crowds when she was a babyface, and she came out there to beat up the heels or beat up.
But she wasn't a babyface, Rob. She was a badass, like a Brock Lesnar. She was a destroyer,
and she destroyed the bad guys. She beat up Stephanie McMahon. She beat up Alexa Bliss. Okay, that's during her first go round. Okay, in her second go round, they started her off feuding with Charlotte Flair. Okay, and you listen to the reactions. You can look at the TV ratings for the segments. You can look at the video traffic for the segments, and you can look at the video traffic for the matches of hers they've uploaded. And you can look at all of those things, and you can look at you can look at the numbers on those, and then you can look at the numbers for when they started booking her as a heel, both the first time and the second time around. You can see the decline. You can see the very clear and obvious decline. And the conclusion is very simple when you look at it that way, is that, nobody was interested in her being a heel. Okay. Because even the people on the internet who said that, they didn't really want to see her as a heel either. They just didn't want to see her. Okay. At all. And look, Ronda cannot cut promos, and actually she has a speech impediment, and a lot of people either don't know that or they seem to conveniently forget it all the time. And that's why she literally is not good at cutting promos. And but you know what? The people who she attracted to the arena, the people who she attracted to watch her on television, guess what? They didn't care. They didn't care that she can't really cut promos. They did not care. They wanted to watch her come out there and beat up Stephanie McMahon, beat up Alexa Bliss, beat up Charlotte Flair, beat up whoever, beat up Sonya Deville. That's what that's what popped to them. That's what they wanted to see. And as long as she was doing that, and as long as she was winning, okay, those people were happy. Those people were satisfied. They did not care that she could not cut a promo. All right. Or that she, okay. And so, but yet when you listen to the people on the internet who, well, they need to make her a heel. Well, they did that towards the end of last year, and everything went in the crapper. Okay. The ratings went down for her segments. The video traffic numbers have gone down for everything. And it's just, and so the turn this person heel because, I think they should be one, that's not a winning place, sir. Okay. And that is the biggest example of it right there. And now if you think that, they should do something different. Now, I think a lot of people just think that they need to do something different with her, whatever different is. And the first thing that, of course, comes to people's mind is turn the person heel, right? Because that's different. But when you are as over as she is with the children, Okay. That is not the winning play, sir. Okay. And look, they didn't turn John Cena heel all those years for that very reason, because he's over with the kids. Okay. To this day, there are kids today that their first time seeing John Cena live and in person was in 2021, but the whole, the presentation and, and everything and what they've seen, previously of him, you get the point across pretty quickly that he was a hero for the children. And Bianca Belair is a hero for the children. She is John Cena for this day and age. You do not turn her heel just for the sake of appeasing, some people on the internet. Because you don't. I'm sorry. And you don't.
I think that Rob the Genius, his birthday passed, so we're going to give him a pass here.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
losing. He's losing it, and it happens. Happens to the best of us here. I don't know about this guy. I don't know. Let me ask you this, Rob. Let me switch speech for a second, because we've already determined that you're the card carrying member of the Bianca Belair as a babyface fan club. AEW.
Yes.
There's been all kinds of speculation from the dirt sheets that they are going to not only get a new deal from Warner Brothers Discovery, but it's going to be upwards of $1 billion. It's going to be over $1 billion for the deal. Has there been anything that AEW has done since their inception that would lead you to conclude that at this stage they're going to get a $1 billion plus deal from Warner Brothers Discovery?
Okay, so now where this 1 billion thing really started to get steam was the guy, or one of the people who runs Dave Meltzer's message board said that he believed they would. Now, and then when he when he started getting taken to task for it, then he was like, "Hey, I didn't say it was, I didn't make an official prediction." So this guy thinks that, and he put it on the message board, and it get caught some steam. The guys at WrestleNomics have been predicting that they would get a big increase. They didn't put a number on it but they predicted it would be, a pretty big increase, and people like me have been laughing at them for that. Now, when you look at all of the different factors, so now I went back and looked at, like, their initial audience projections for Dynamite were 500,000 people. Okay. They, even now when they're not getting as many people as they used to, they still exceed that by a pretty wide margin. And now they're getting another 2-hour show also. Now, and yes, and granted, that's part in. Now, there's been no announcement about a new media deal, but I would say that if now is not the time to be predicting gloom and doom for them, because it just doesn't look that way right now. Now, obviously, things can change; they can change very quickly. But if you're looking at the picture today, where they've just announced another 2 hours of television, where they have, sold all these tickets to Wembley Stadium. If you're looking at that, just at the concrete things we can look at today, I would say that they are safe with Warner Brothers, and now that's their television, but we still do not know, like, where they are as far as actual profitability, because I mean, WCW was getting over 2 million viewers when they folded, but they were losing money, at a ridiculous rate because of how much they were spending. So that is kind of the real mystery question here, is profitability. So look, they could get a new TV deal and still go out of business. because they're not profitable. That could happen, and no one ever talks about that. Everybody's fixated on the TV, the TV, the TV. Personally, I don't know how much they're going to get, but I think for TV they are safe, because again, right now they're getting like $45 million a year, which is pretty darn cheap. And even look, they can double their money or even triple their money, and it's still pretty darn cheap for a TV product. So that's always going to be in their favor. And also, look, I don't until things get to a point where the Warner thinks they can put something else on in that spot and make more money. And until that happens, then we can talk about ratings all we want. I would say that they're safe. Now, how much more money they're going to get, I do not know, because remember, none of the experts foresaw WWE getting $1 billion from Fox and then another $1 billion from NBC Universal back in 2018. All the forecasts were a lot less. So I would say they're safe. Don't know how much money that's going to exactly mean. But just from anecdotal evidence that we've seen, they very much do need more money, because the video game thing has been a disaster from a cost standpoint, and we know they have a lot of people there that are on some pretty big contracts. So, it's the real question, I think, is not the TV. I think it's the overall profitability. I think that's what people are going to be focusing on.
You have some updated numbers for us, Rob, on the women's wrestling and how women are being featured on television.
Yeah. So this has been, this has not been the most optimistic of years, to be honest, I have to say. There's been some stagnation. There's been some falling back in some instances. And I've paid more attention, because one kind of rebuttal to some of the measuring that I've done is people saying, well, you shouldn't just count up how many matches they're having. You should what about the angles and the backstage stuff and the storyline and this and that and the other. And that argument, well, I'd say it may have held weight maybe 2 years ago. That argument does not hold weight, is not holding much weight in 2023. Because, and again, I'm not commenting on the quality of any storylines, even. I'm just talking about from a sheer just quantity standpoint. People getting like matches having actual stories, with some, depth to them or whatever, just are few and far between this year. And look, I was very critical of how they built both of the women's title matches at WrestleMania. They did minimal effort in both cases. Like, you can't tell me that having Asuka and Bianca stare at each other for 4 weeks in a row, you can't tell me that that's telling a story for a big title match. I'm sorry, no. You can't tell me that having Charlotte and Rhea interact 3 times in 9 weeks is telling a story for their match. And by the way, those are 2 women that have actual history behind them to their interactions, that have had previous pay-per-view matches, and previous encounters where they've gotten into it with each other on TV and what have you. There was a wealth of video library to mine for that, to set that match up. And all they did was they had Rhea reference their very first match from 3 years ago. They had her reference it on a few times in promos, and ignored everything else that happened that has gone on between them. And so I was very critical of how they built both of those matches. And now, so Bianca and Asuka are going to have a rematch, now they're champions, which I mean, the match they had at WrestleMania, Bianca beat her flat, dead in the middle of the ring. What exactly is there to have a rematch for? Other than just, hey, we like both of them, okay. We like to see them wrestle, okay. I mean, there's no case for Asuka to get a rematch. Basically, she got beat dead in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. Right, and now, I mean, if Asuka had been the champion and Bianca had beaten her for the title, then yeah, you could say that she's warranted to get a rematch. But if the challenger goes out there and loses, then and not in some kind of lucky kind of way or something, but just beat dead in the middle of the ring, then what are we doing here? So I'm just looking. I've been, and now they didn't defend the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania. And look, the women's tag team division has been very much maligned, and rightfully so. And they had a showcase match with a bunch of slapped together tag teams, but then they didn't have the titles get defended. And now, I mean, it looks they have some established teams now. We'll see what they do. And then now, as far as just the sheer looking at numbers of matches, I mean, AEW, Dynamite, they're doing what they always do. SmackDown is doing pretty much what they always do. NXT is still doing well, and I'd say Impact, they haven't been running as many matches, but at least from an overall booking standpoint and a creative standpoint, they are they're still doing well. Now, I think me and a lot of people are hoping now that with Trinity over there, that's going to inject some life into the the division and allow them to book some more matches and what have you. Because Impact has lost a lot of people over the past 6 months. And Mia Yim went back to WWE, Chelsea Green went back to WWE, the Inspiration, formerly the Iconics and WWE, they left the business. They've lost a few other people, so they've lost some people to work. But now recently they have gotten some more people in, so now kind of looking at them to get back on track here. But no, this has not been a particularly great year for women's wrestling on U.S. television. It just hasn't been. And
so who's doing the worst at this point, and who's close? Who's close to being flat at least?
I'd say SmackDown, and let me go to the. Here we go. All right, so compared to last year, okay, AEW is pretty almost identical to last year, and last year they were at the bottom. So they're still at the bottom. Nothing's really changed. NXT is still at the top. They're pretty close to what they did last year, and Raw is flat overall, I'd say. But from week to week, it's very volatile. I mean, they'll go 2 or 3 weeks and just have one match, and then they'll go a couple of weeks where they may have 2 or 3 matches, and then it's back to one match a week for a bit. So their Raw is very volatile. SmackDown has been pretty flat also, mostly. You usually get one match a week on SmackDown. Every now and then you get a second one, but you usually just get one. And the other thing, now I guess what I would also consider a further criticism on the WWE side is that the women's roster is the biggest it's ever been. So they got almost 40 women on the main roster now. So if you're flat as far as the number of matches you're having, and you got more women than you've ever had by a wide margin, they've never had almost 40 women on the main roster at the same time. It's like the number is like 35 or 36. I mean, and look, that's counting women who are managers first and wrestlers second. But even if you don't count them, you're still over 30 women on the main roster. That is more than they have ever had. So if you're coming in at the same rate, both with number of matches and TV time and what have you, as in previous years, then that's essentially a step back. So there's, I mean, the bright spots there. Well, there've only been a few bright spots. I mean, I've been, a few matches here or there. And I will say that I think Trish and Lita coming back, I think, is a bright spot, because one of the barriers as far as, treating the men and women equal in pro wrestling, one of the barriers has been age. And because look at your women wrestlers, even your top women wrestlers have historically either been run out of town or have left on their own volition just because it wasn't worth it anymore at very young ages, by relative to men. I mean, you can go back and look at, when Trish and Lita left the first time. You can look at Beth Phoenix and some of these other women, and you look at how old they were. I mean, you're talking 28, 29, 32. Kelly was 25, and she was just like, done. Because, she's made more money, doing the photo shoots and the modeling gigs or whatever that she's been doing ever since. She's made more money doing that than she was making in WWE, so it wasn't worth it. Look, Mandy Rose is making more money now than she ever did, right? Even today. But, age has been, it has been a barrier. And so for them to be able to come back, because look, they should be able to come back the same way that, with Goldberg and The Undertaker and Mick Foley were able, were kept coming back and kept coming back. They should be able to do that too. And yes, now did Goldberg get criticized for how he worked in the ring when he came back? Yes. So did the Undertaker. So did Mick Foley. So did Shawn Michaels. Yes. So and it's fair to subject that to the same scrutiny or the same criticism of how they're working in the ring. But they should get the same opportunities. Coming back when you're 45, 50 years old shouldn't be a one-sided thing. So on that note, I would call it a bright spot that they did come back this year, because that's at least a sign that, somebody in there recognized that, there's plenty of, nostalgia market on that side also. But
Rob, you've redeemed yourself. You were Bob the Genius until you gave these updates here. So now you've wrestled the name, the cool name back. So you're allowed to remain Rob the Genius, according to the Duke. That's right. But why don't you let everybody know the best way that they can keep up with you and check out your numbers and what have you as well?
Okay, so I do update my number gathering over on my website, robsagenius.com. And right now, I'm updated as of the week before the draft, I believe. And so I took kind of a hard break there because, I wanted to wait, to see how this post-draft thing goes for a month or so to see, if any of the hoped for improvements happen. So you can read there, and you can listen to me every week on the Mindless Wrestling podcast on part of the Chairshot Radio Network. And if you want to hear me talk about things other than professional wrestling, you can listen to my own personal podcast, the Rob the Genius podcast, which thankfully I will not have to rename. Thank you, Duke.
Let's talk hydration. See, I carry something to drink with me every single place that I go because I am concerned about being dehydrated. It runs in the family. Everything from dry mouth, dizzy spells, fainting, It's pretty serious. And I've tried all the different types of waters and sports drinks. Let me tell you something right now. Liquid IV, that has been the most efficient at keeping me hydrated and doing so pretty quickly. Okay, Liquid IV has 5 essential vitamins and is 2 times faster at keeping you hydrated than water alone. And I'm serious, man. Everything from vitamin C to vitamins B3, B5, B6, B12. Liquid IV also is non-GMO, so it's free from gluten, dairy, soy. So for all you folks out there with food allergies, this may be right up your alley. And I know what you're thinking, but how does it taste, Duke? Well, it tastes pretty good. Okay, we're talking my favorite in pina colada. They also have tropical punch, strawberry, new flavors like sea berry and strawberry lemonade. You can enjoy this stuff, man. But don't take my word for it. I want you to stop what you're doing right now and head over to liquidiv.com. Use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin so you get 20% off your entire order. I mean, anything that you order on liquidiv.com. So what are you waiting for? It's time for you to shop better hydration today. Use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin over at liquidiv.com. Save yourself 20%. Stay hydrated. Most importantly, enjoy life. That's right. Until next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Bianca Belair is a heel. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.